Harrison County's first choice for news, sports, and information is KMHT 103.9 FM in Marshall, the heartbeat of East Texas.
Hello and a good Tuesday to you, East Texas, and welcome to the latest edition of Tuesday Night Football with the coach, brought to you all season long by the Andrews Group. Jamie Horton and the head coach of your Marshall Mavericks, Clint Harper, in studio with you until 8 o'clock tonight. We will be taking some of your phone calls later at 935-4334, but it's time to talk the business of Marshall Maverick Football. First of all, Coach, it's good to see you again, man.
It's good to be here, Jamie.
Yeah, it's always fun, right? This is a... we're on camera. We're gonna be on the internet. I mean, it's big time.
It's big time.
It's big time stuff, man. We're working on it. Matter of fact, right now we're watching on Marshall Cable Channel 18 the replay of Friday night's. We'll call it a big win. Call it a dominating performance by your football team over the Royce City Bulldogs. Coach, let's start there. An inauspicious beginning, so to speak, which can happen on the first game of a football season where. You know, you got very little film on a team that you're playing because you've only really seen them in a scrimmage. Same with you. I mean, you're not going to throw out all of everything that you've got in your bag of tricks, in a scrimmage or anything like that. And even in this game, it was very vanilla. We'll get there, but let's be honest, it was. It got off to a kind of a sluggish start defensively, but it wasn't because I think Royce City was better. I think it was they were. They threw everything they had at you, and then they kind of shot their wad, so to speak. But let's talk about those first quarter and a half, the only time they ever reached the end zone.
Yeah, they came out, and I've told, I knew that it happens every year. Teams come out, and they show different things than what they've shown. Offensively, they lined up in a ton of formations. The guy's been in there now 3 years. Coach Petrov's been there 3 years, so their kids knew the offense, which – sometimes when you're playing a new coach, obviously they're not going to have as much put in. They threw the kitchen sink at us in the first quarter. I mean, about every formation you could line up in, and they were trying to do it in a pretty quick tempo. So we were trying to get adjusted to the formations, line up right, and they caught us a couple of times not in the right alignments, and we're able to take advantage of it. But once they ran out of formations to run. And we were able to get over to the sidelines. You kind of saw, obviously, our athletic ability and our talent took over.
Let's talk about the offensive start as well. You guys, I think you scored all but 2 possessions, maybe 3 the entire game. The last time, obviously, it was throwing in the towel or waving the white flag, so to speak, or saying, hey, we're not going to add insult to injury. But Coach, we talked about this. This offense is. I don't know if potent is the right word. I mean, that's a very good word for this. It's good. It's very, very good. It's it was unstoppable on Friday night. Cam got us on the board, then Chavis, or maybe it was Chav. It was Chavis and then Cam. But those guys combined for 8 touchdowns the other night. Cameron Haller with 5, Chavis with a very modest 3 touchdowns. But a great start offensively. Let's talk about that. It's 14 points there in the first quarter, 2 drives, and you guys made it look easy.
Yeah, and we didn't have the ball. That was another thing. Defensively, they were having to be on the field. We had a couple of chances to get off the field on some 3rd and longs early in the game, even when they were throwing those different formations. And that was one of the things I've talked about this week to our defensive staff and our kids is. We get teams in 3rd and plus 12, 3rd and 15. We got to get off the field. You can't let a team get a 3rd and 15 and keep the drive alive and keep you out there on the field, especially early in the year when, energy and just life it's very, very, you can run out of it real quick if you're having to be out there for a quarter and a half in the first half. So we were out there a lot of plays. I think we ended up with over 80 defensive snaps, which is way too many. So that's something we got to work on. But offensively, that we were able to keep the momentum. Thank goodness our offense was executing early on in the game, which kept, obviously, our defense. We weren't out there very long, but at least it kept us ahead on the scoreboard until our kids were able to get their feet underneath them.
What kind of problem is it when you got to say, guys, just don't score so fast? I mean, because you're talking about you guys scored – And I think the total amount of both drives was 1 minute and 42 seconds. I mean,
yeah, we converted a 3rd and long. We had to convert
to Clayton Garrett,
yeah,
right? It was a great route, by the way.
Great route, great throw. It was a big time play because we were able to keep the drive alive and go in and score a play or two later after that. But that was a big 3rd down play. Kind of looking back offensively, you mentioned the word unstoppable. I wouldn't say unstoppable because when we were stopped, it was by us.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we got a penalty. The one drive in the second half that we stopped ourselves, we got a penalty. I believe we actually got 2 penalties, which we would have had a second. We went from a 2nd and 1 to a 1st and 20 and got us behind the sticks. And we just didn't, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot on that one drive in the second half, and then we opened up the 3rd quarter with just a really, really poor drive offensively. Didn't execute any of the 3 plays that we called. And so it was really, when we were stopped the other night, it was a lot more of the guys in the white shirts that stopped us. It was it was us stopping ourselves and shooting ourselves in the foot with penalties, which is typical in the first game. We didn't really have that many. I was kind of pleasantly surprised that we actually executed and didn't have a lot of legal procedures and a lot of penalties, which you kind of see sometimes in a first game. But those were the 2 times they stopped us that weren't really voluntary. Others late in the game, it was, I'm not, me, Jamie. You've seen me now for 3 years. I'm not going to run a score up on a team when I could or when I can. I'm just trying to get kids out of there healthy. I'm not trying to embarrass the other team. I'm trying to get my team out of there healthy, get the other team out of there healthy, and try to shorten the game and get out of there.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the only time you scored in the 4th quarter was on defense, and that was a pick 6 by Trey Macon, who I want to focus some attention on. This kid kind of burst onto the scene Friday night and opened a lot of folks' eyes because there was a good portion there in the second half there. I mean, he was flying around in the first half, especially when you guys kind of got things figured out there when it was 14-13, and I don't think they got the ball into Maverick territory for quite a while, maybe the rest of the game, it seems. But, he was flying all over the place, had an opportunity there where he got his hand on a ball in a passing situation, making some great tackles out in space where he's got to make the play. The pick 6 came after a play that he had just made, and he caught it off the bounce there on a deflection. We almost had one a couple plays later. But this kid is a sophomore, Coach, and we've got a lot of these kids that are younger, underclassmen, sophomore kids, and that, especially that young secondary. But I tell you what, he kind of made a name for himself on Friday night, and he looked the part. He looked like he belonged under the Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, there wasn't any nerves. That's what I told you earlier in the weekend, that I was really pleasantly surprised about how well those guys played. There wasn't any really, they actually graded out better than some of the older kids, and so that was really, really good to see that, that they didn't let the Friday Night Lights and the first game jitters affect them. They went out there and they played extremely well. Cortez Hurd played extremely well. Macon played well. Marco Alexander at corner played extremely well. All 3 of those guys are sophomores, and they played really, really well for sophomores starting underneath the big Friday Night Light. I
got to get new rosters and stuff because with every new season comes a whole bunch of brand new names that you got to learn and things like that. And there was a whole bunch that we're sitting there searching for. Who's this kid? Who's this guy? What is it? And then, but as the season progresses, the more plays they make, we'll certainly get accustomed to calling their name. Trey Macon was one of them. Is the usual suspects. Antonio Washington had another big game. I think he had 6 tackles on the night, a couple for loss and a sack. But he's always disruptive. He
had a block kick, too.
He did have the block.
He had a block punt, almost had a block field goal. He would have probably led Texas in block kicks if he would have barely missed that second field goal at PAT. But he's just a very, very good football player.
Let's talk about the convenience factor that you have. I mean, I know it's always stressful. It doesn't matter if it's 62-13 or if it's 14-13. The coaches, you guys are a different breed. It's you're never really satisfied, and that's fine. I understand that. But the usual suspects offensively the other night, Coach. I mean, you just made it look very, very easy. And hats off to Coach Ludlow. I thought the pace of play was fantastic. I mean, that was one change up that was noticeable, not only in the sense that we're snapping the ball 10 seconds into the play clock, but you're scoring in under a minute. You're running 4-play drives that are going, for 60 seconds. is it convenient? Is it a good problem to have because you're scoring? But then we talked about the defensive aspect of it. Is there ever a time where you got to say, pump the brakes just a minute? These kids are gassed, Or is it a situational thing? I mean, because you guys are playing in their half of the field pretty much all night.
Yeah, that was the problem we had was we had such great field position because of kicking game. It was 14-13, and probably the play of the game was, which I know we're probably going to get to, was the kickoff return by Trail. Which that was a gut punch for them. They had some momentum. They were feeling good for themselves, and all of a sudden you look up, and 10 seconds later, we got the ball at the 6-yard line, and any momentum they had was over, and it was pretty much ball game after that.
He made the catch that he made where he took it was
half.
Almost the same looking play where he's doing the jump cuts, those jump cuts across the field, reversing field.
It just became a punt return. That's all that play became. It was just they decided to try to load the box, and as I told somebody earlier today, you can pick your poison. You can try to load the box and stop Cameron and Chavis and stop the run and try to play man coverage out there and hope that you tackle, because if you miss one tackle, it's over, and that's what happened. They missed a tackle, and he got loose, and it became a punt return, and he was zigging and zagging and running, and that's Trail. He does what he does.
It was a well-played football game as far as penalties are concerned. He didn't turn the football over. There was one deal there early on where, kind of a mis-exchange between Cameron and Chavis. Looked like Cameron ripped the ball out of Chavis's hands there at the last second. Talk about that play. What was the design of that? I mean, obviously it's a read.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's really, what happened on that play?
Yeah, it's a power read play that it's one of our staple plays that we run, and Cameron just I think he thought that there was something there. Obviously, he had enough time. You could see that there was a hole. He fumbled the ball and still was able to gain, I think, 2 or 3 yards after picking up the fumble. So he was probably right on pulling it, but he, probably put it in the belly a little bit too far. And when by the time he was able to want to pull it out, it caught on Chavis's elbow. So we've been working on that this week of getting that corrected, making sure that doesn't happen again, because you definitely don't want to put that ball on the ground. Other than that, it was other than that, and probably those 2 offensive penalties there, and that stopped that one drive. It was a pretty good night offensively, execution wise.
When you have such a big win like that, where you literally, let's be honest, it was a dominant performance. I mean, once you guys figured everything out defensively, once they were done with whatever it was that they were trying to show, and you guys had kind of figured it out, made the adjustments. Let's talk about your coaching staff before we get into that. The adjustments those guys made. I mean, because there's some new faces there as well, and it's their first game with the Marshall Mavericks. I mean, the adjustments those guys made. Let's give them some credit.
Yeah, Coach Jocelyn, new defensive coordinator, young coach, real energetic, did a great job. Coming over to the sidelines, getting the kids calmed down. I'm not sure a couple of years ago we would have, as I told them, I'm not sure we would have been probably pointing fingers and saying, it's that person's fault, it's this person's fault. Our kids maintained their poise. They came over. They knew that we were going to stop them eventually. We just had to get lined up right, and so they listened to their coaches and started playing their techniques and getting lined up. And as you notice, we play with a ton of defensive linemen. We play with a great rotation of defensive linemen, so we always stay fresh defensive line-wise. So I think they were trying to wear down our defensive line, but that's not something that's probably going to happen to us because we have such depth at that position right now. And so we were able to roll them in, keep defensive linemen fresh, and that really helped us later in the second quarter and then the second half because their offensive line wore down and our defensive line was still fresh. A-Dub and J.O. and Hoodie were still going full speed, and whereas that offensive line, those big boys up front, there wasn't no subbing those guys, and so they were pretty winded, you could tell. And that we were able to take advantage. But, Coach Jocelyn, defensive staff did a great job. Coach Ludlow, like you said, we had a great plan, had a tremendous plan put together with, the pace of play, the attack series. You kind of saw for the first time our little sugar huddle on the very first where we approached the ball with a short huddle and attack the line of scrimmage. It's a quick it's a huddle offense, but it's a quick huddle offense where we're trying to make the defense have to line up in less than 2 seconds and try to figure out what we're doing. It's a great little series. We worked it, and again, we hadn't shown it. That was something that we brought out. That was a wrinkle that we hadn't shown. It was very effective. Really could have almost scored twice on it. The second time we ran our play off of it, we missed one blocker. Cameron probably would have gone about 50 or 60 on that play. And so, just a great offensive game plan, great adjustments defensive-wise, and then kicking game-wise. Coach Sartain did a great job, kickoff return. We even had a touchback on the kickoff, and that's Allen. Allen's got to, he was nervous the other night. Allen's got to get a little bit more consistent, obviously. Can't miss a PAT at all. Even though when you score 62, you have some leeway there. But, in a close game, you saw the games that were played this weekend here. Longview and Lufkin came down to a PAT. Hallsville Carthage went into overtime, could have come down to a PAT, or actually did, because they had to go for 4 PATs, or point after attempts. And close games, we got to be better in the kicking game and be a little bit sharper.
Yeah, if Cameron doesn't score, it's on him. Let's be honest. If he doesn't score, that's his fault at this point. So, Coach, we'll step aside and take a break. You're listening to Tuesday Night Football with the Coach, brought to you all season long by the Andrews Group. Stick around. More with the head coach of your Marshall Mavericks, Clint Harper, right after this.
The Andrews Group, known throughout East Texas as the place to go for automotive air conditioner, radiator, and automotive repair, as well as pre-owned vehicle purchase and quality insurance. Andrews Air Conditioner, Performance Radiator, and Jerry's Automotive Repair, all located on Highway 59 North, under one roof for your convenience. Pre-owned vehicles on East Grand, Simmons Auto. Across the street is Quality Auto Sales and Quality Insurance. The men and women that make up the Andrews Group all know their business. Dana in AC, Robert on the radiator, Buster on the engines, all at Jerry's Automotive on Highway 59. On Grand, you have Simmons Auto, Brady and Ed. Across the street, Quality Auto, Brian Sommerford, and Quality Insurance with Matt Arst. Secretaries Kate and Kinsey, the Andrews Group, serving your complete automotive needs.
Pick your poison. Throw to the end zone in a beautiful dime piece. Off the right arm of Justin Hart to Trell Patton. Haller with the keeper. He's got a lot of room around the left side. He's got one man to beat. Touchdown, Cameron Haller. Now Hart steps, has a man wide open. Making the catch at the 5 and walking into the end zone is Trell Patton. Touchdown, Mavericks from 43 yards out. Join me and Chase Palmer for every exciting call of Marshall Maverick football right here on your home for the Mavs, KMHT, and EastTexasToday.com. For all things Marshall Maverick football, join me, Jamie Horton, and the head coach of your Marshall Mavericks, Clint Harper, every Tuesday night from 7 to 8 during the football season for Tuesday Night Football with the Coach. Brought to you by the Andrews Group. Listen live and hear it first as we break down and preview every week of exciting Marshall Maverick football. That's Tuesday Night Football with the Coach, brought to you by the Andrews Group.
$18 minutes past the hour on a Tuesday night. You're listening to Tuesday Night Football with the Coach, brought to you all season long by the Andrews Group as we talk all things Marshall Maverick football. Week 1 is in the books and a resounding 62-13 victory for your Marshall Mavericks on Friday night. Our star of the game, or our player of the game, it's hard to argue with a kid who has 5 touchdowns. So Cameron Haller got the nod on Friday night, and he is our Carlisle Law Firm player of the game, which, by the way, I got to give you a little plaque to give to him today. We got little certificates in a frame and stuff that we're going to give the kids this year. So congratulations to Cam. I'm sure that'd be the first of many this year. One thing I did notice with him, and this is something we talked about last year, and I don't know if it's something that it's a conscious effort to do, but I noticed that when he needed to a little bit, that there was a reversal of the football in certain arms and situations, whereas last year, I know that was something you guys wanted to work with, where he'd held it on the one hand and then would stiff arm with the other. Because he's got, I don't know if you noticed, but he's a really, really strong kid, and his stiff arm is deadly. I didn't notice that. It's like a cheat code. It's like, his stiff arm in Madden would be a 99. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I didn't, he's like I said, he warms up on the bench press with 405 pounds like we saw the other night. So, yeah, I had an idea that he was pretty strong, and when people are actually literally bouncing off of you, you might be pretty strong upper body wise.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to think of my days in high school and who I could compare him to. I mean, athletes are different. It's only been, it's been 15 years since high school. But even then, athletes are they're just different. They're different kind of people these days. He's one of them.
And, like I told one of the recruiters that came through today asking about him, he's that strong and he really doesn't lift. If he was on the powerlifting team, I couldn't imagine how strong he could be, because he goes from football to straight to baseball and gets into baseball season where he hasn't gone through an off season yet where he's lifting every day. How strong he could be is unbelievable probably. And he's a 600-pound squatter, 400-pound bench press kid, power cleans whatever he wants to. So yeah, he's a freak as far as the weight room goes. I've never seen a kid that strong. We've got kids that strong, but they've worked, for years. Antonio Washington is as strong as him, but Antonio's put in so much work to get that strong. Cameron's kind of just a freak of nature where he's that strong and really hasn't had to do a whole lot of work to get that strong.
Coach, we talked about this back. They're going to have a hard time getting to 3,000 yards as a combined backfield if they keep having 40-yard drives. I mean, that's going to be tough. But the way that they performed the other night, you're talking about 195 yards between the both of them, roughly, maybe two. I think Cam ended up with 108 and Chavis with 93. But efficiency, Chavis I think had 10 carries, Cam had 11, 5 touchdowns for Cam, 3 for Chavis. That's a pretty potent 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I know there's some other teams that have got really good running backs in East Texas, but I'm not sure there's anybody else that's got 2 great ones that we've got. And so I'm pretty excited about that combination. Like I said, it just gives you where teams just can't focus in on one person. You have to have a plan to stop both of those guys. And then I said, whatever your plan is, it probably involves getting more people into the box, because if you try to go like they did the other night and try to play with 5 guys in the box and maybe even only 6 guys in the box, we're going to get bodies on you with the offensive line. We're going to get body on body. Now, you notice the other night our offensive line's not near as big as it was last year. We don't have 5 guys or 4 guys that are 300 plus. But what we do have is we've got athletic offensive linemen this year, really, really athletic kids that can move, and they can get up on you, and they can stick on you and stay on you. Whereas last year we kind of leaned and used our strength to block folks. This year we're using more of our athletic ability. So I kind of like both of them.
I wanted to touch on that. That was a good segue because we talked about this last week about keeping our eyes on this offensive line, who it's not as beefy. It ain't the same kind of big uglies that we've been putting out there on Friday nights, but the way that it gives you an opportunity to do some more things scheme-wise, and it can only be beneficial when you've got that kind of athletic ability in your backfield, to where now you got guards that can pull and they can go get on a tackle or a defensive end, or I thought they were super on Friday night. Now, obviously, it's game 1. There was a few things that you can say, okay, they'll get that cleaned up, or it looked like maybe there was some confusion, or maybe there was a wrong gap assignment, something like that. But those things are correctable for the most part, Coach. They looked. That's a promising start.
Yeah, like Coach Lott was saying.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Lott.
Yeah, Coach Lott does a great job with those kids, and they love him, and he loves those guys, and Contrell Booty is one of the finest offensive linemen we've had here in Marshall. Now he's not 6'7" and 315 pounds, but as far as I believe he graded out the other night at 95% for an offensive lineman. That's unbelievable. And so he had a really good night, and he'll continue to have a good night pretty much every game, because he's just a very, very athletic, gifted offensive lineman. We got those 2 young ones that are, they look the part now. There's some size with those 2 guys, 6'4" and 6'3", and one of them's 305 and the other one's 270. And so, we're gonna be big again. It's just not gonna be this year. And so, we got a chance. Like I said, we're gonna go with the way our offensive line goes. If we block like we blocked the other night, we'll continue to have success offensively. And so that's gonna be. That's what we look for every week. Every Saturday morning, I can pretty much tell you if those offensive linemen grade out the way they graded out, the scoreboard is going to be in the Mavericks' favor.
On another talking point here, they have a really cool press box up there, and I got to thinking, Coach, like perhaps we could put together a little fundraiser or something like that, and we could do something like that up above.
We tried that 2 years ago. I'm not going to. Don't bring up bad memories. We were 200 votes away from having something that nice.
We'll get it done. Well, it'll happen one day. We'll get it done. Somebody will leave us a whole bunch of money, and they'll say, "Here, name it after me" or something like that. We'll get it figured out.
I'll take it. I'm telling you, that was a beautiful facility.
It was. That's what I was going to get to. It was a beautiful facility. I mean, it looked like they treated everybody well, and it was a great place to play football.
Yeah, I'd been there 2 years ago for the area track meet and got to go up in that press box for most of the day because it was a track meet and it was about 35 degrees that day. So I stayed up in the press box, so I got to know that press box pretty well that day. And it's just a great facility. They do a great job up there. There's a couple of things that I would have tweaked if I was designing the place, where I wouldn't have the fans walking through the visitor side of the locker room, but for the most part, 95% of it was pretty darn nice facility, and I like playing there. I told our staff that would be a great place. I really would like playing there. Some of those DFW teams, if they don't want to go to Rose, I wouldn't probably have a problem going and playing some of those Dallas schools there at Royce City.
All right, Coach, let's put this one to bed a little bit, and let's move forward. Let's talk about Crandall, the home opener this Friday night. Is it a red out? Are we red now?
It is red out.
Red out night this Friday night, the home opener, the first of 3 consecutive home. We don't have to go anywhere for a month and a half, really, because we got an open week next week. Then we're home against Arkansas High again, and then the district home opener against Hallsville. So I mean, we're going to get comfortable in Marshall. We can get comfortable in Marshall for a little while.
Because last year we weren't. Remember?
I don't remember playing at home at all last year.
We didn't play one September game last year. We started on the road or here at home against Royce on August the 29th.
Then at Crandall, then Shreveport, and then the break, then Hallsville, and then
we were home finally against Pine Tree in early October.
And then we're right back out on the road with Pine Tree, and then Longview.
Longview back on. So yeah. We're making up for last year's not playing any games at home in September. Now this year we've got every game at home. So
before we talk about Crandall for a moment, I did want to say, obviously you guys get through the paper and you kind of look and see what the other district opposition did. Pine Tree blew away Jacksonville. Jacksonville's down a little bit, but certainly we've seen what Pine Tree's been doing offensively over the last few years. The story will be told, obviously, in district play. Longview getting past Lufkin with a blocked PAT there at the end, getting past them 21-20. Hallsville, for the second year in a row, beats Carthage. This time they do it in Carthage. But that's another is Surratt and those guys, even in their state championship years, they stumble in some of those non-district contests. But again, I think it goes to show you what kind of program they got west of us on Highway 80 in Hallsville. They've got some kids that work hard, and they've got some kids that play hard and they compete. Texas High with a big blowout win. This is a pretty darn good district again, Coach. And I don't want to look ahead too far, but my goodness, this is I think did Sulphur?
No, Sulphur lost a really good Rockwall Heath team.
Rockwall Heath.
Yeah. And Mount Pleasant lost to a really good Paris team because Paris has got a Division I quarterback. So.
What about Greenville?
Greenville won, beat North Garland, had the running back had a huge night, almost had 300 yards rushing. So
it's only 2 of our district teams, Mount Pleasant and Sulphur.
Sulphur, yeah, everybody else. Pine Tree, we'll see. We'll get a little bit better glimpse of what really Pine Tree is because they got Gilmer this week.
So
they'll get a little bit better test. I know Jacksonville, I love Coach Coleman. He coached me here in Marshall, but I know it's a little bit of, he's going to have a program that was real similar to the way Marshall's was here 3 years ago. So it's going to be a rebuild there at Jacksonville. He doesn't have any more McCowans left. His running back moved to Tyler Lee, who we saw in the scrimmage. So he's got some work ahead of him. So I think Pine Tree will kind of see a little bit more about what they're really about this week because Gilmer we know is really good, and they're always going to be well coached. So
all right, let's move on to Crandall now. This is a team. Look. Coach, we went to their place last year. I talked to you about this last week. These are teams here early on that if you're going to be where you expect to be, you got to beat them. Crandall really wasn't, last year we handled them fairly easily. I think it was 28-0 before they ever got on the scoreboard there, maybe 21-0. I know we jumped on them early and often and were able to kind of, call off the dogs there in that football game. I haven't had a chance to look at them. How many of those kids they have coming back? Is that wide receiver? Is he back? The one I'm talking about. I know who remembers who I'm talking about. He's over at I don't remember where. I think he was going to ETBU, but now he's the kid. We had a guy that had a couple interceptions last year.
Yeah, T-Ray. He was up at
T-Ray
Henderson State. Yeah, he had.
He got a chance to meet him.
Yeah, Bryant. His name's Bryant, number 7. He's back. They got 16 kids coming back from last year, 9 on offense and 7 on defense. So they're a lot better.
They're a veteran club.
They're a veteran club, and they have an identity, and that's the thing that makes them dangerous. Last year I would probably say there was a lot of trying things. It was Coach's first year there. They were trying to figure out program-wise what kids could do. I think they have a pretty good identity of what their kids can do, and that is they're going to run the football, and they're going to pound it and try to keep their offense out there on the field, and they'll take 3 and 4 yards. Had a 99-yard drive the other night. That was a really, really impressive drive where they just pounded the ball, converted a couple of third downs, kept the ball, took up most of the quarter, and that's scary. When the team's willing to do that, and it's scary for me because that's the way, to me, you can slow our offense down because it's hard for Chavis and Cameron not to score when they're standing over on the sideline. So we're going to have to really play some physical football Friday night, because if not, then they're going to run the football. They got a big 6'2", 200-pound running back that wants to come downhill, number 10. And he's a very, very physical runner. Had a lot of big runs the other night. I think he ended up with 190 yards and 3 touchdowns on, I think, 15 carries. So he's a big physical, bruising running back. Then they bring in kind of a kid that's similar to Chavis, not near, I don't think, the skill level of Chavis, but he's a lot quicker and a lot shiftier. And so they've got a kind of a thunder and lightning. And so we're going to have to play a really good defense and play physical and get them off the field. And obviously, if we do that, we're going to be all right. I think we should score some points. If we execute, and I'm going to say that probably every week, because there's probably not going to be anybody that I think should be able to stop us offensively. It's going to be about us executing. That's what it's going to come down to offensively. If we execute and do what we're supposed to do, every team will have a hard time stopping us. Now, there may be some teams that are athletic enough and gifted enough to slow us down, but we'll kind of have to go by that week by week. But our defense has got to, and that's the thing that you heard me say earlier. Our defense, if we get there, I would say that they throw the ball well. They still got number 7. He's a big-time receiver. You saw him make some big catches last year. Big physical receiver, 6'2", close to 200 pounds. He's a beautiful-looking child. And he made some big plays last year on us. We were able to, it was 21. You were right. It was 21 or 28-7. But he caught a ball, you remember. He caught a ball on a fade ball.
And then Trail.
And we stripped him at the 1-yard line. Yeah. And that was the turning point in the ball game. That was the big play that kind of swung the momentum. They were kind of, you could tell that took the wind out of their sails. But, I mean, it could have been 28-14 if he holds on to the ball and they go in and score. It's 28-14 ball game. So, it was pretty similar to probably the other night where we got some momentum early and really put it on them and kind of broke their will. I hope we do the same thing, because if not, then we're going to be in for a dogfight, because they're not a bad football team by any means. They're much, much improved. It's coaches, like I said, it's Coach Joe Dale's second year there, and they want to run the football. They've got an identity. And so they're a very, very dangerous football team. I
remember last year in Crandall too was kind of Cameron Howler's breakout. That was his coming out party, so to speak, because he had an 89-yard run for a touchdown and 75
back-to-back series.
Back-to-back series, and they were both outstanding runs. We're talking about reverse field. We're talking about a kid that's gassed as soon as he gets to the end zone. He's gassed. I remember seeing it on film where he's just, man, that's a long way to run, because he ran about 150 yards going back and forth across the field. But Coach, let's take a break and come back. We'll talk a little bit more about this Crandall football game Friday night. Tell you folks how you can be a part of it. It is a red out night. It is the home opener and we're going to have it for you on 103.9 FM. By the way, want to remind you that all Marshall Maverick football games, including this coach's show and everything Marshall Maverick football, everything KMHT, you can see and hear on our brand new KMHT YouTube page. So just go to youtube.com, search for KMHT Radio, and subscribe. And then that way, anytime we upload a video or a piece of footage or a football game, something like that, you guys can find it, and it'll send you a little email if you subscribe to us. So go to KMHT Radio on YouTube and subscribe, and it's an awesome thing. Check us out, KMHT Sports on Twitter, ETX Today Sports on Twitter. We got it all for you. So we'll be back with more with Tuesday Night Football with the Coach, brought to you by the Andrews Group right here on 103.9 FM. Stay tuned.
The Andrews Group, known throughout East Texas as the place to go for automotive air conditioner, radiator, and automotive repair, as well as pre-owned vehicle purchase and quality insurance. Andrews Air Conditioner, Performance Radiator, and Jerry's Automotive Repair, all located on Highway 59 North, under one roof for your convenience. Pre-owned vehicles on East Grand, Simmons Auto. Across the street is Quality Auto Sales and Quality Insurance. The men and women that make up the Andrews Group all know their business. Dana in AC, Robert on the radiator, Buster on the engines, all at Jerry's Automotive on Highway 59. On Grand, you have Simmons Auto, Brady and Ed. Across the street, Quality Auto, Brian Sommerford, and Quality Insurance with Matt Arst. Secretaries Kate and Kinsey, the Andrews Group, serving your complete automotive needs.
This is the era of fight. And this is Dallas Cowboys football 2015. Only heard here.
We got work to do, guys.
On this Dallas Cowboys radio network station.
Sunday night, it's your Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, live from Levi's Stadium on this Dallas Cowboys radio network station.
103.9 FM in Marshall, your home for Dallas Cowboys football. It's a Maverick Stampede in 2015. Cameron Haller with the carry around the left side, now reverses field. Inside the 10-5, touchdown Cameron Haller. The young man has done it again. Midfield and more, and it's a foot race.
Bye-bye.
Chavis Mills, 10-5, touchdown Mavericks.
I'm telling you, they're not going to catch Chavis Mills.
Join me and Chase Palmer for every exciting call of Marshall Maverick football right here on your home for the Mavs, KMHT, and EastTexasToday.com.
Yeah, 37 minutes past the hour. You tuned into Tuesday Night Football with the Coach right here on 103.9 FM. Brought to you all season long by our friends, the Andrews Group, and you can check them out. They got Dana and Brady Andrews. We got Jerry's Automotive right across the street, Quality Auto, Quality Engine. I mean, it's just good stuff. Andrews Group, check them out. Coach, home opener Friday night. Crandall Pirates in town. We'll talk about that real quick. Then we want to take some phone calls. Those of you interested in talking to the coach tonight, give us a call at 903-935-4334, and we'll get you on the air here as we begin to wrap things up. But it is the home opener, and I was talking to Che. This is the coolest part about it. I love hearing stories, and folks who have been around this program. This is my 8th year. But I didn't grow up here. I didn't grow up in a town where I've always loved high school football, always been a fan. We didn't have the same kind of traditions where I live. We didn't have the same sort of, last person out of town, turn the lights off kind of thing. But listening to stories when you're sitting in a car with Chase Palmer, who was a member of the 1990 state championship team, Joe Martino, who's been filming Marshall Maverick football for 35 years, and you sit here, and Reggie Cooper, who also played for the Mavericks back in his day, talking about, oh man, when we played defense, it was different Maverick football, but we didn't care if we'd never played you before. We hated you. We wanted to beat you up, and we wanted you to when you left, you were gonna know, man, I don't want to ever play Marshall Mavericks again. Hearing those stories and hearing the things about, boy, when we played, we'd play Odessa on a Saturday, and they got flown in, and they bust them over, and we beat them, and there was fans everywhere. I want to know how we get that. I would love to see that, Coach. How do we get there again to where fans are requiring standing room only tickets, and there's temporary bleachers being put up where our fans out beyond the scoreboard that are cutting down trees so they can put up a deer blind or something to sit in the back there to watch Maverick. How do we get there again?
I'd be willing to bet it was probably like that in 2004 and 2005. Winning is a great deodorant. It makes a lot of things lovely and it makes a lot of things smell good. And I think we gotta keep winning. Obviously, winning the district championship, because if you win a district championship, we were competing for district championships in those years, and to win a district championship, you know who you got to beat. You got to beat those guys across on Interstate 20, both of them. And so I think you start beating those guys, and then you start making some deep runs in the playoffs. That's how you get fans here at Marshall. I think people want to come. I don't think anything's changed as far as people's love of football. I just think that we got to win, and I think obviously when you go through the periods of the downtimes that we've had, it really it tests people's what you want to do on Friday nights. And so hopefully we're starting to get some of those people. I know we are, because our ticket sales were way up this year compared to even last year, and so I'm excited that we're going to get we're going to have more fans this Friday night. We're going to see again. I also think you can bring some excitement to the stadium with some new things. You're going to see some new things at the stadium. Team's going to get a chance to come out. If you come out this Friday, you're going to get to see our new helmet. We're going to be the only.
We got a new helmet.
Yeah, got a new helmet. We're going to be the only team in East Texas that's going to have 2 game helmets, and so you never know which one we're going to come out in.
Wait a minute. Okay, I don't want you to tell me what it is. But as far as, is it a huge? Will it be a distinctive difference from the other one?
Oh yeah.
Is it a solid color?
Nah, you have to come out Friday.
All right. Will you tell me during next break or before we go? You'll tell me. All right. What do we got? We got Lee Christie. All right. Okay. Coach, we got a phone caller.
All right. Let's do it.
All right. Let's see here. Let me see how I can do this. All right. We are going to talk to, I believe this is Lee Christie. Lee Christie wants to talk to you. Lee Christie, welcome to the Tuesday Night Football Show with Coach Clint Harper. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Oh, man, thanks a lot, Jamie, for taking my call. And to the Andrews group for sponsoring all this. Coach Harper, congratulations. Oh. What a win. What a victory. Can't say enough about the offense. My question is defense. After the first, I listened to it Friday night and then watched it on YouTube last night. After the first 2 or 3 possessions, I noticed the defense, Roy said he was running hard to the left. The defense started squaring their shoulders and keeping their hips squared up, under their shoulders. Is that something that the defense picked up on, or is that something that the coaches picked up on and decided, hey, look, let's do this, and once y'all start doing it, you start using that 12th man, which was a sideline.
Yeah.
Is that something that the defense picked up on, or is it a combination of the defense and the coaches?
Well, it was a little bit of both. Like I said, they came out in some formations. I was just watching it on the replay there, and they came out in some bunch sets, which tightens you up into the boundary with both receivers really, really tight, and then tried to run their quarterback wide. So we had to get over to the sidelines and make some adjustments as far as some slanting and some basically just kind of figuring out where they wanted to go offensively. And again, it was brand new to us. It was brand new for those kids because they hadn't shown any of that. They hadn't run the quarterback at all in the scrimmage, and all of a sudden, you look up in the first 2 series and their leading rushers, their quarterback. And so we came over, got our kids coached up on some technique stuff, and of course, kids are nervous at the beginning of a game. Sometimes, it's when you get nervous, sometimes you forget what you've been coached to do, and so we just had to calm the kids down, get them lined up, and then have a plan for what they were trying to do offensively, and that's kind of what you saw happen after that second series.
Right, Coach, and that's what I saw. Fast forwarding it and then slowing it down. I noticed that once they started squaring their shoulders up and keeping their hips under them and letting them drift, they wasn't allowing the offensive line to dictate what the offense wanted to do. The defense took over.
Yeah, and that's what I talked about it earlier. we also were able to stay fresh. We rotated. I'm again watching this replay, and I'd forgotten how many kids we rotated in to stay fresh on the defensive line. It was close to 95 degrees at kickoff, and so keeping our kids fresh and keeping their legs fresh was a huge part of the game. And so that's kind of that was a big deal as far as our kids being able, like you said, to kind of stay square and get off blocks. Because when you're tired, the easiest thing to do is to let that guy overtake you. And so us staying fresh, moving our feet, and playing our technique was big. You're exactly right.
Lee Christie, I appreciate it, man.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say it was a great first call. We haven't ever had a call on this show. We wanted to try it this year, and I think that's a good first call.
I'm glad y'all did, and I tell you what, like I said, thanks to the Andrews group for allowing this to happen,
Sure.
and thanks to you and Chase for what y'all do, and Coach Harper. I mean, you could spend 4 hours talking about the offense. It was fantastic. That was my question about the defense, and I saw what what those young men did, and it was absolutely amazing to watch the transformation. I know what they do. You're practicing against your own defense. You see the tendencies, that those guys have, and then your defense was able to turn it around and make some big adjustments. And like you said, it was the defense, but it was also the coaching staff. And hats off to you, Coach.
Well, thank you, buddy. And, like I said, we've got a great staff. Our kids play hard, and we got great coaching, and kids play hard. And when you got that combination, good things will have a tendency to happen. So thanks for the call, buddy. Call back next week.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great first call. Let's up top, man. First call ever, I think, that we've done. So, Lee Christie, man, I appreciate the phone call. You guys can chime in at 935-4334 and talk to the coach, congratulate him, ask him some questions. You can even ask him X's and O's. Just don't ask about playing time or any of that sort of thing, all right? Because, we all want our favorite players to get playing time, but at the end of the day, we're all Mavericks. All right, it's all about W's and W's.
Yeah, that's the first thing I tell our kids, and they know that, they don't ever ask about playing time because they know Coach Harper wants to win so bad he's going to play the best 11 guys, and, that's never been in doubt, never been a question. Sometimes my competitiveness it gets the best of me, and I am a very, very competitive person. My wife and my daughter will tell you I don't even let my daughter win at board games at home.
No,
and so
I don't either. And she gets so mad at me. There's a Chinese marbles game called Mancala. I don't know if you ever played it. All right, basically you've got like 6 little circles, like little tubs, and then a tray. And the object of the game is to be the person with the fewest marbles at the end of the game. So I had to teach her how to play it. And then I beat her every time. She gets so mad. I'm saying, no, you never learn how to win if you don't lose.
That's right. And then we've had, unfortunately, the last couple of years we got which makes, again, that's a great point. It makes winning so much sweeter when you've gone through some tough times and you've gone through losses, and sometimes you get, I've been in programs, sometimes you get spoiled because you just expect to win and you've never gone through tough times at all. You've gone through 10, 15, 20 years of success, and you just win and win and win, and people get used to it and they just expect it. And then when all of a sudden you go through a rough patch, and you kind of talked about people,
4 years ago, that would have been a tough game to win.
Yeah, going, not coming to games. You go through a rough patch, and you kind of find out your fans and who the ones are that really, really are Maverick fans when you're out there at that ball game and you're 2-8.
They get T-shirts with their names on the back. What up, Skeet? You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you,
that's my boy.
Yeah, Skeet's a loyal fan.
Yeah, even in the toughest of times, he's there. He is there, and there's a lot of them, though. We got a lot of really great fans.
Yes, we do. Got a lot of them come out to practices and watch practices and love on our kids. And like I said, Maverick fans are the greatest fans in Texas. I've been all around the state of Texas, and I can tell you there's nobody that loves their kids more. And I've been here in '88. I've seen the Odessa Permians. I've seen people storm the field. I saw it last year when we beat Sulphur. People came out. They were excited, hugging on the kids. We got a great fan base. We had a great turnout the other night. I said that in the Booster Club meeting. It would have been very easy for a lot of our fans just to say, hey, that's 2.5, 3 hours away. I'll just listen to it on the radio or watch it the next day. And I'd be dang, I turned back around, and we had a great crowd there.
Yeah, I think they got a bus. They went and got them a fan bus, and
it was really good.
And had a good,
so
great
I'm expecting a big turnout Friday night for Red Out, wear your red, and come and cheer on the Mavericks.
So yeah, you were part of the Odell Beckham scoring, lining up on the outside. Everybody knew the ball's going to him. He goes and scores, and then Jesse Armstead and that whole play. And you've seen all of it.
Buddy, I've been here and seen it all of it.
Well, I want to see it. All right,
I do too. I want to see it again. There's like I said, there's a reason why those 3 magazines are sitting on my desk, because those are probably three of the best years in Maverick football history, and so we definitely want to repeat those and give some great memories. I still talk to people all the time, and in fact, the guy, and I'll tell you, it's ironic. The guy on our one of the officials on our sidelines the other night was a guy that we played, and he played at Lakeview Centennial. And he kind of came up to me and says, "Coach, man, you guys look like some of those late '80s teams that we used to play when I was at Lakeview Centennial." I said, "Yeah, I remember those games at Cotton Bowl," and we talked about that for a couple of minutes in between a kickoff or one of the times we scored. I can't remember, but it was those are good memories. 30-something years later, and you're still remembering playing Lakeview Centennial at Cotton Bowl with an official on the sidelines, and so that's what we want to get back to.
One of the many times we scored. We're going to take our final break and come back and wrap things up. You're listening to Tuesday Night Football with the Coach, brought to you all season long by the Andrews Group. Back to wrap things up in just a moment. Stay tuned.
The Andrews Group, known throughout East Texas as the place to go for automotive air conditioner, radiator, and automotive repair, as well as pre-owned vehicle purchase and quality insurance. Andrews Air Conditioner, Performance Radiator, and Jerry's Automotive Repair, all located on Highway 59 North, under one roof for your convenience. Pre-owned vehicles on East Grand, Simmons Auto. Across the street is Quality Auto Sales and Quality Insurance. The men and women that make up the Andrews Group all know their business. Dana in AC, Robert on the radiator, Buster on the engines, all at Jerry's Automotive on Highway 59. On Grand, you have Simmons Auto, Brady and Ed. Across the street, Quality Auto, Brian Sommerford, and Quality Insurance with Matt Arst. Secretaries Kate and Kinsey, the Andrews Group, serving your complete automotive needs.
This is when the big dogs come out. Can't roll the big dogs. Stay on the board.
Fans, football is back, and KMHT is the only place keeping you on top of the game. Join me every Friday night prior to kickoff for Pigskin Preview. We'll hear from area coaches and we'll discuss the state of each team as well as preview that week's opponent. Pigskin Preview is an all-access look inside area high school football teams. Stay on top of the game with Pigskin Preview every Friday night prior to kickoff right here on KMHT. For all things Marshall Maverick Football, join me, Jamie Horton, and the head coach of your Marshall Mavericks, Clint Harper, every Tuesday night from 7 to 8 during the football season for Tuesday Night Football with the Coach. Brought to you by the Andrews Group. Listen live and hear it first as we break down and preview every week of exciting Marshall Maverick football. That's Tuesday Night Football with the Coach, brought to you by the Andrews Group.
Reminds you of, when Berman and Chris Berman and Tom Jackson do like the fastest 2 minutes in, sports, whatever. They always play this underneath it and stuff. You're listening to Tuesday Night Football with the Coach, brought to you all season long by the Andrews Group. Jamie Horton and the head coach here, Marshall Mavericks. Clint Harper, 53 minutes past the hour, just about 5-6 minutes left to go in the program tonight. But before we wrap things up, Coach, again, a red-out night this Friday night, and basically it's pretty self-explanatory. Anything red in your wardrobe, wear it. Preferably some Maverick gear. If you don't have any, I know some people where you can get them as you walk into the gate right there on the right-hand side is the Maverick Shack. All right, and they've got a lot of really, really cool stuff, including highlight videos from last year. If you guys want to highlight DVD, you can hit them up for one of those as well. And we can get you one.
Best highlight DVD I've ever seen.
Well, and I appreciate you guys giving me the freedom to make it as long as I really wanted to, and kind of it's hard to put.
We're gonna hopefully give you a lot more material.
Man,
that's what we're trying to get you.
I would like to have like a full movie and then see if
we're gonna try to give you a lot of clips to choose from
and see if I can't figure out a way to make a deal with the folks over at the Marshall Cinema and see, hey man, can we just have one room for like an afternoon, for like a 2-hour block, and let me show these kids their highlight tape or whatever on a big screen or something like that. Coach is watching football on TV. By the way, Marshall Cable Channel 18 Tuesday night replays. They're going to do on Tuesdays and Thursdays this year. Every week. It's the week after, it would be the week's game prior to the upcoming week's game.
That's pretty cool. You can watch the game and listen to the radio show at the same time. That's pretty cool deal.
Yeah, and I'm watching your eyes as you're watching it on TV, and you're still grading.
Yes,
that's
why.
Still watching.
You know me too well. Yeah, I'm evaluating. Golly, you got to make that play right there. Come on.
Well, I noticed it a little bit more too, and also, by the way, check it out on YouTube. Go to YouTube.com, search KMHT Radio, and subscribe to our channel. We just started putting this thing together, folks, and it's going to be a monster. It's going to be an absolute monster. You can follow us at East Texas Sports Beat Facebook page and on Twitter at KMHT Sports and at ETX Today Sports. All right, those are our 2 Twitter handles. On Friday nights, when you guys are trying to find out scores and everything else, man, we are live tweeting. We are tweeting. We're posting pictures. We're trying to be a big-time organization, so we need you guys to kind of help us out with that. I was telling Coach, we had 190-something views of the football game. I think my boss, we were talking about it this morning. I think by the first of yesterday, when we first got in and we have a little Monday morning meeting, I think after I had uploaded, it had been up 24 hours, a little more than 24 hours, and we had almost 100 views at that point. I think we're getting closer to 200 views now just for that one particular game. So share it, stick it on your Facebook page and share it, and let folks watch Marshall Maverick Football because. These kids, they're good. It's entertaining. I mean, that's first and foremost, Coach. You got an entertaining football team.
Yeah, it's fun. We're fun to watch. Fun offense. It's definitely going to keep you on your toes and keep you interested about watching. It's not a 3 yards in a cloud of dust offense. It's
it's not that boring Longview Lobo football.
Well, I'm not going to say that.
I am.
Because they got one, supposedly, it's like Johnny Manziel over there. I keep hearing that the Ross kids like the next Johnny Manziel. So we'll see what he looks like. We're going to go over and watch him on Saturday against the Cujo Lions over at the Rose Stadium on Saturday night.
They took one on the chin this weekend.
Yeah.
Cujo did. Of course, it's a good play. That's a good team.
Plano team. So we'll see how both of those teams look. Obviously, John Tyler being in the other district and Longview obviously being Longview. So we'll get a chance to go over there. And if you're a Maverick fan, you want to go over there and watch what the Lobos and John Tyler, they do play Saturday night. So head on over there. Coach Harper will probably be there.
Yeah, you'll be wearing red, right? You'll be wearing your Maverick gear?
I'm not crazy.
All right, just making sure. Let me tell you, this is something I've noticed, and this is I've noticed. I went to Genghis Grill one day over in Longview. I was taking my daughter to the movies, and while she was here for the summer, and I had a Maverick hat on and a Maverick shirt, and it was middle of the afternoon. There's probably 10 people in that restaurant, and I got dirty looks all up and down.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting there thinking, I get it. I get it now.
And you're not 6'7" and stand out.
So
I get a lot of looks anyway, whatever I wear. But if I was to wear something Maverick to a Longview John Tyler game, I might not get out of there alive.
I mean, that's a real deal. That rivalry, that whole thing. I mean, it's an emotional thing. It tears families apart.
Yeah, it has.
It can. It has. It certainly has. All right, Coach Crandall and Marshall, what can we expect from your football team Friday night?
I expect us to play hard, and we're gonna have to come up and show up. We can't. We've been talking about all week about not drinking the wine and not feeling good about ourselves and telling, listening to people tell us how good we are. So it's my job to get them out there and get ready to play, and we'll see.
I gotta get you a new ringtone.
Yeah, and so. Obviously, my dad's not listening right now, so
no.
Hey, Dad, listen to the radio show next week and don't call me while I'm trying to finish it up. But no, our kids are going to play hard. You know that, Jamie, and we just you got to do some things. We got to make some adjustments. I'm sure they'll show us some things that we haven't seen, and we're going to have to, get them our kids over on the sidelines and coach them up and keep playing hard.
Marshall and Crandall, Friday night, 7:30 from the Friendly Confines. It's the home opener. Wear all the red that you can find, all right? Paint your faces red. it's red. It's a red-out night. It's the home opener. Marshall looking to get to 2-0 for the second consecutive year. And if they get there, then we are one win away from accomplishing goal number 1 of the 2015 football season, which is being unbeaten in non-district play. My thanks to the head coach of your Marshall Mavericks, Clint Harper, and to the Andrews Group for allowing us to do this each and every Tuesday night throughout the football season. We also thank Lee Christie, our lone phone call of the night. We hope to have a few more piggyback off that next Tuesday night.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. We'll see you next week. Until next time, go Mavs. I'm Jamie Horton. Take care of yourselves, East Texas. Good night.